I am particularly glad to welcome Dr. Oda Elmikati, which is the director of the Planetarium Science Center at the Biblioteca Alexandrina.
Thank you very much for celebrating with us our festivity of the International Year of Physics. We would like first to start with a short clip about the library and about our festivity this year that took place this year. We'll start first with the clip.
The Biblioteca Alexandrina, the new library of Alexandria, is dedicated to recapture the spirit of the original. It aspires to be the world's window on Egypt. Egypt was a window on the world. A leading institution of the digital age, and above all, a center for learning, tolerance, dialogue, and understanding.
Driving in this morning, I was just thinking of what is the Biblioteca Alexandrina, if I were asked to define it, what is it? And I thought to myself, it is an institution that is dedicated to the preservation, increase, and dissemination of knowledge among mankind.
The great initiative President Obama to reinstitute the learning of the Alexandria Library.
It's really a very great honor to be here in this famous place. And I asked myself what is the reason that I'm invited to come here and to be told this. It was mainly this piece of metal I got 20 years ago, the Nobel Prize, 85, and
once upon a time, there was a point, then next was the point exploded. And this explosion, this gigantic explosion, was the beginning of our universe. And to investigate what happened during and after this explosion, everything else is science.
So, simply stated, the history of human progress is the history of science. It's tied to the history of science. And thus, there has been no progress without science. And in the history of science, there are really two dominating figures. This, in my mind, I think many would agree, Newton and Einstein stand taller than most. But in very beautiful words, whether they were apocryphal or not, Newton said, if I have seen farther than most, it is because I have stood on the shoulders of giants. At the turn of the century, although some people said that all the problems had been resolved, there were some nagging problems. And yesterday, Professor Edward Whittam, one of the most distinguished physicists and mathematicians in the world today, rightly pointed out that they had a narrower perspective of what physics was. But still, there were some discrepancies in the periods of Mercury. There were qualms about whether light was in waves or particles. Michelson-Morley had made an experiment. There was no ether, and the speed of light seemed to be constant. And there were still, believe it or not, questions about atoms and molecules and whether they were real.
The variety of topics testifies to Einstein's wide-ranging curiosity, which actually extended to many other different subjects within physics and some outside. But why do we make so much fuss about Einstein? He's established an extraordinary public image as a great scientist. Pick someone at random and ask, who is or was a great scientist? The chances are that his name would be the first to come up.
Albert Einstein, the life of a remarkable man, not only for his science, but for his humanity. It is fair to say that Einstein transformed our understanding of physics, from the smallest quanta to the largest visions of the universe. He gave us the beginnings, he opened the doors on some very weird interpretation that our common sense finds difficult to accept. But our common sense is based on our senses and our scale. And that's things that are very small and very big, we don't have any experiences of. But he solved so many problems and opened so many doors for research and new enormous applications.
celebrated the International Year of Physics, but it also celebrated science, the scientific method, and the values of science, all embodied in the story of Albert Einstein. Celebrating science in the sense that science requires engagement, and engagement with the other, and the tolerance of disagreement in science is not easily understood by non-scientists. It is a tolerance of a different view that accepts a way of arbitrating disputes by evidence, and is committed to rationality, and that in the end it is the evidence that will speak, that makes the ultimate authority in science the method. This method entails the values of truth, honor, engagement with the other, arbitrating disputes and free inquiry, free expression, and free flow of information. The community of science is the closest means to a borderless community, one that does not discriminate on race or gender or religion. For science is a language of its own, a language that belongs to all. Our festivity at the library comprised a multitude of events, as you have seen in the video clip. And the audience included all age groups, as well as specialists and non-specialists in the field. We hosted Nobel laureates from all over the world. Murray Gell-Mann, Klaus von Klitzing, Gerard T. Hooft, Walter Cohen, Leo Izaki, and Douglas Osheroff are Nobel laureates who visited the library to celebrate with us. We also had the honor of receiving Professor Edward Witten from the Institute of Advanced Studies in Princeton, and who co-organized with us the Einstein conference that we held in June. In addition to a distinguished panel of scientists and professors from all around the globe. They all gathered here at the library and addressed our eager-to-know audience, especially university students, graduates, and professors. The exhibition we hosted, which was an adaptation of the Einstein exhibition created by the American Museum of Natural History, played an important role in summarizing the story of Einstein, the man and his science, in a manner that was appreciated by all its visitors. This international year-long festivity of science should urge all those celebrating it to harness science and technology and foster our political will and our imagination to actually wage the war against poverty, disease, hunger, and ignorance. It is all embodied in Einstein's legacy, the man, the pacifist, and the humanist. Here at the Library of Alexandria, we aspire to recapture the spirit of its predecessor and help revive the spark of science that made Egypt famous with the contributions of our ancestors. By our action today and every day, we lay the foundations for better tomorrows. We hope that celebrations and gatherings like this can help create a vision for the new generation. A vision that holds hope for all, rich and poor, young and old, men and women. Hope for a better future. It can be done, it must be done, and it will be done if we are all committed. This is just the beginning and by no means the end of a long endeavor. Thank you for celebrating with us this wonderful year. I would like now to introduce Professor Srivan Sen, who is the director of the International Center for Theoretical Physics, who is with us here at the Library of Alexandria. Professor Srivanson.
Hello. I'm sorry I couldn't be at CERN, but I'm here in another great place and I'm glad to be on the program.
So we'll see you at CERN on Monday.
That's right, indeed.
Can I ask you how important it is for science to become part of human, general, universal culture?
Well, there are many ways in which you can think about this question, as you know. Science is an activity that appeals to external evidence and not to, let's say, an internal system of beliefs and a text or anything like that, a personal authority. So I suppose in that sense it is certainly universal, and in my opinion it's also a unifying force, unlike, let's say, religion or political philosophy. But there is maybe one other thing I could add. The things I just said are pretty clear to everyone. But what is the sign of a liberally educated person in this modern world, you might say? Everybody says, well, he should know, or he or she should know a little bit about art, must know something about poetry and literature, and must know a little bit more about history and things of that sort. But I actually think science is something one should know a bit about also, because it really tells you about the place of the human beings, the evolves, or things like the evolution of humans, stations of the resources on the earth and things of that sort. So these are all completely universal, independent of the region, independent of the people, independent of the time, independent of the culture. So I would say these are all universal values.